Hi Marcus, this is Alan Cockrell with ABC, former hitting coach for the Colorado Rockies and the Seattle Mariners. I want to thank you for coming to our camp. We're going to take a look this morning at your video and just talk about a few things. Marcus, one of the first things that we always want to try to maintain throughout the entire hitting process is balance. And for me to maintain balance, I got to have these knees inside my feet, and my head has to stay inside my knees, and that has to take place from the stance, which is where you are now, all the way through the load and all the way into the swing and then the finish process. So we need to have that take place. The other thing that I always look for is just having good bend in both knees, good athletic bend in both knees. And you've got pretty good bend there. I think maybe just a little bit more in your front leg, just to be a little bit more athletic, like you would be as though you were going to steal a base, or you were playing linebacker in football, or guarding someone in basketball. We just want to be as athletic as we can. One thing I'd like to see you do too is get this back foot a little bit more square to the plate, where it would be facing more this direction as opposed to being facing back here towards the catcher a little bit. That'll just help with your balance throughout the whole process. Okay? Now we're going to take this to the load up phase. The load up phase is we're trying to get weight into the inside part of our back leg. That's where we want to feel the weight. We don't want to feel the weight up here on top of this leg. Okay? So you can see here when you load, we're kind of swaying. We're going back with our body, and we're getting this knee outside of this back foot. And anytime I sway back, I'm going to have to sway forward, or I'll just sit on that back leg and spin in my swing. So we want to try to feel weight staying in the inner part of that back leg, so this knee will be sitting somewhere in this area inside that back foot. Okay? We'll take it forward now to the process of more with the load. Okay, now when the foot gets down, Marcus, we are now in a loaded position. Things we're going to check again for here are knees inside, yes. Back foot pointed out just a little bit, okay? Want to make sure we got our hips squared up to home plate. We're pretty good there. We got good bend in both knees. That looks pretty good. One of the biggest things that I always pay attention to is, where is this stride foot? The stride foot, when it lands, it needs to stay at 45 degrees or less than 45 degrees, and you're right at 45 degrees. So we're in a good position there. One suggestion I might make with your hands is just to get our hands just a little bit higher, more shoulder width. So we take our hands up, more shoulder width, and this bat would be more at a cocked angle of 45 degrees behind your head. We're just a little bit low. It's going to make it tough to get the pitches that are at the top of the strike zone. Okay, we'll run this forward. Now, all the weight that we gathered in the back leg, run this forward back here again. All the weight that we got back here, we're now going to transfer this weight, okay, into our front leg, the inside part of this front leg. That's where our power comes from, is from our legs. That's why we want to be balanced and athletic with that. As our back knee starts to transfer that weight, the elbow is going to drop down in here to a slot, so we should have elbow, shoulder, and back hip should all be in alignment. Okay, and you can see here your hands have just gotten a little bit too low. At this particular point, your hands should be more up here, maybe just a little bit lower than shoulder width at this point. Okay, we'll run this forward. Now as we get to that connection point, your hands will start to move in front of your body, and as they do, we'll get to what I call a palm up, palm down position with our hands. That's a strong position for our hands to be in. And then I want my head and eyes looking right down the barrel of this bat at contact. Okay? I think it's important for you to know, Mark, as soon as your head and eyes come up to follow the flight of the ball, that's the direction the bat's going to go as well. So, one of the things that I talk to my hitters about repetitively is we want to keep our head and our eyes down in the hitting zone for at least a count past contact. That way we make sure that we get good full extension through the ball, and we're staying on the ball all the way through. Okay? Now, as we can see here, past contact, we've gotten a good turn with this back knee. But at this particular point, I'd like to see your shoelaces right here. I'd like to see your shoelaces facing the pitcher. And what that does is that just gets our backside all the way through. And again, that's more for power. Okay? It's going to help us drive the ball without swinging any harder. It's just using the hips and the legs and the strongest muscles in our body to help us hit the ball as hard as we possibly can. Okay, we see here you've gotten good extension through this particular pitch. The barrel of your bat is facing the pitcher. We'll run it all the way through, and now you start to get a little bit of a turn, but I'd rather see those shoelaces up and down right here, where we're more up on the ball of this foot or more up on the toe, so that these shoelaces are facing this way and they're facing the pitcher. Okay? All right. What I would like for you to do, Marcus, is we're going to go all the way back to right here. Okay? And my suggestion is that we do a lot of tee work. Okay? When we get to the loaded position, we're going to make sure, all right, when we load, we're feeling weight in here. We're making sure that this knee's inside this back foot. Okay? Remember, we want good bend in both knees. That's for athleticism and that's for balance. Okay? Now, when the foot gets down, we want to make sure that these hands are up here more around your shoulder and the barrel of that bat. I don't want it wrapped around your head, but almost at a 45-degree angle. Okay? And we're going to get to this position, and we're going to set a tee out here on the outer half of home plate, even with my stride foot right here. And I'm going to set that tee as high as it will possibly go. I'm going to try to get it, you know, the height of it up here somewhere around where your elbow is. Okay? We're going to put a ball right on top of that tee right there at that height. We're going to place it out here off the front foot on the outer half, but I wanted it at least at that height right there. Okay, and we are going to practice hitting line drives just to the back of the cage. And I think with the height of where your hands are right now, it's going to be difficult for you to get your bat on plane with a pitch that's at the top of the strike zone. So we don't want to swing down on the ball. We just want to swing through the ball. So we want the plane of the bat staying in the strike zone as long as we can, working through the ball and staying this way. And we're just going to try to hit line drives to the back of the cage. Okay? And this high tee drill is something I've done with guys often, because our hands have a tendency, we have a tendency to let our hands go too low and then try to get them back up, and it's just, by then it's too late. So we're going to try to keep them up their shoulder height when the foot lands, and we get to a loaded position, and now we can just take the barrel right through the ball and hit line drives to the back of the cage. Okay, bud, I think this is what will help you, and I want to thank you for coming to our camp.